evening, everyone. Welcome to the Mayor and City Council Workshop, Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. If you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, we got roll call. Please show all council members present. Next up, we got review of the minutes of the August 7th, 2024 and August 12th, 2024 regular meetings. Comments, questions, concerns by council.
I have a comment on the August 7th minutes. The Main Street discussion, was a 2-hour discussion has been reduced down to one non-descriptive sentence. I want the minutes to reflect the things that were said and the things that were discussed. And I want under public comment for those, especially those members of the Main Street Advisory Board, but for members of the public who came here and spoke, to at least be listed and the content of their comments be in some manner described. I'm not going to sit here and have this brushed under the rug this way.
Jim, is this how we present all new business and agenda? Or in the minutes, I mean?
Well, generally, it depends on how close to Robert's rules you want to go. The minutes reflect the actions that were taken, not necessarily the discussion, the details of the discussion. So if council wishes to include detail, we can certainly make that happen. But usually, the less we don't usually detail the discussion points, just the actions.
But this is how we normally present the minutes, correct?
We had a 2-hour discussion about everything that has gone on, and you just want to brush it down and brush it off and pretend like it didn't happen.
I don't think you can brush it down. There's a YouTube video of it.
It was not my intention to brush anything off.
This is how it's always been presented. Even the more controversial new businesses that we've had, I don't think it's ever been presented differently, has it?
Not in recent years.
However, council can elect for it to be more detailed if they'd like.
If council wishes to amend the minutes, we certainly can.
I would at least like it to be shown that there was a lengthy discussion about the conduct of the Main Street Advisory Board, the conduct of their meeting, and the reasoning for actions taken later. I just, this way all the time, but it's not your life and your livelihood. It's not your businesses, although in your case it is. And so you should be concerned about this.
This is just how it's always been presented. I'm not sure why we'd make a special exception for Main Street.
I think you kind of have to look at the minutes as a table of contents. And so if you want more information, then that's when you have to kind of go further. So I don't object if there's something more that you want to add, in just a bullet point type thing, if you think that that will add to that part. But it's not supposed to be like a description of everything that happened, because then things also get.
Well, that would obviously would be, to try to.
You could also bullet point the YouTube video. I mean, that literally covers the entire meeting.
I don't know, I look back, and even the items above it, yes, city manager White advised complaints have been received about speeding on Trevanion Road, and there was a discussion about the benefits of conducting a speed survey. That's more detail than the 2 hours of discussion regarding Main Street gets. And that was, 5 minutes. I just think that by not reflecting better what was said and what occurred here that night, that you are doing a disservice to those citizens who were here and frankly, a disservice to me for the effort that I put in to bring this discussion to the fore. I am just, to me, it just reeks of trying to sweep it away, and let's just ignore this and hope it goes away. But there'll be more discussion to come.
I don't think
That's,
anybody is ignoring it and trying to make it go away. Minutes are not supposed to be a blow-by-blow, every word that everybody said.
not asking for that.
Like Councilwoman Fuller said, that if you want a sentence or two, like there was a lengthy discussion, and folks generally disagreed or something. But I don't want to see minutes with every word that everybody said.
I don't either. I mean, that takes it to an extreme that I'm not interested in going to, but I'm.
And nobody is trying to sweep the Main Street issue under the rug.
No, that's how it appears to me from reading these minutes.
Well, I'm sorry you look at it that way, but that's not the case.
I will draft an amendment to the meeting, to the minutes, and send it to you, and you can then forward that, and we can vote on it on Monday.
And I think you sort of combined two segments here, so under new business, we certainly can, expand that a little bit.
We can talk.
But would you also like, under public comment pertaining to agenda items, there's where we could include something about, several individuals
At a minimum, that should be
addressed council
recognized,
regarding,
because those are citizens who came here
Right.
and gave of their time to
Right.
speak their piece, and that they just are roundly ignored here.
Right. So we would amend that, add something there as well.
I'm just confused.
I'll write up something brief and offer it as an amendment to these minutes and send it to you, and you can put it out to everybody, and we can discuss it on Monday. Is that fair enough?
That's fair. Again, I just want to state that we've had residents come for a various number of issues that have talked in length over subjects, but we've never edited the minutes for more clarity on it, I don't think, from my recollection. But
We got away from that practice a couple of administrations ago when council members were, we were starting getting into I want the minutes to make sure the minutes say that I said this or that I said that. And we tried to get away from that.
And again,
right.
I don't want to get into that kind of level.
So they've been
specifics,
kind of,
but I want there
basic.
to be some recognition that there was an extended discussion and over a lot of issues, and that there were members of the public who were here, and that the record reflect that they were here and they spoke and they got to say their piece. And I just think that's, again, I'm not calling for a blow by blow, but I think that that's important. So I will do that. I will write up something short and send it over to you, and you can distribute it and we can vote on it on Monday.
any further comments, questions, concerns by council regarding the minutes for the August 7th, 2024 and August 12th, 2024 council meetings and workshop? Hearing none, proceeding forward. Any council member statements regarding conflicts of interest on agenda items? Hearing none, proceeding forward to public comment pertaining to non-agenda items. Proceeding forward. Resolution, ordinances, and agreements, introduction, ordinance 10-2024 Campaign Finance Code Amendment. Questions, comments, concerns by council? Hearing none, proceeding forward to ordinance 11-2024, fiscal year 2024 budget year-end closeout amendment up for emergency adoption potentially. Any questions, comments, concerns by council?
Give me a second here, let me catch up.
I'll just point out that this is our usual kind of year-end truing up to,
Right,
our
yeah, this,
revenues
right,
and
yeah,
expenses.
that's right.
We pulled out the items that we suspected may have been the, I'll say, questionable ones from last month. So those are presented as their own
Thank you.
separate ordinances this month. But we would like this to be approved as an emergency ordinance this month so that it will be in effect prior to the conclusion of the FY24 audit.
Further comments, questions, concerns by council?
Not on this one.
Hearing none, proceeding down to ordinance 12-2024, fiscal year 2024 budget amendment fire company donation up for potential emergency adoption. Questions, comments, concerns by council? Hearing none, proceeding down to ordinance 13-2024, fiscal year 2024 budget amendment public safety salary adjustment potentially up for emergency adoption. Questions, comments, concerns by council?
And just that I continue my objection to this because I don't think that we are fairly treating an employee of the city.
Proceeding down to adoption, ordinance 08-2024, fiscal year 2024-2025, budget amendment number 1. Questions, comments, concerns by council? Hearing none, proceeding down to resolution 2024-12, water allocation for September. Questions, comments, concerns by council? Hearing none, proceeding down, city manager report. Jim?
Okay, not a whole lot new this month. Let's see. I'll leave the planning commission update for Councilman Tillman for Monday night. So on the Robertson Old Broad Street, just kind of ongoing efforts regarding trying to get, put a claim in against the performance bonds. I suspect the city attorney may have a little more to say on that during the legal report, but he's coordinating with CDM Smith, our engineer, regarding their inspection reports so that we can kind of lay out the defects to go along with the letter for our bond claim. The stormwater project on Riffles Lane, still chasing down signatures, have followed up with people. And one of the properties has, the ownership has changed to a trustee situation, so the city attorney redrafted the easement or updated the easement language for that one, so we need to, that just came in today, so we need to get that out to them with a reminder and I suppose plea to contact us if there's any issue with it. And we've got, no one has really expressed any, it's just lack of response. So, the folks that I've had, that I have phone numbers for, I've left voice messages for and such, spoken to a couple of them who indicate, oh, I've been busy, lost track of it, so we sent a new set out. So that's coming, that's next, I think, yeah. Although we've tried that initially and, weren't able oftentimes to catch people at home during the workday, of course. So that's unfortunately dragging on a bit. Jumping down to the sewer rehab, we did do a bid opening today. 2 bids were received, and CDM Smith is reviewing them. So we will have a recommendation for Monday night. Hopefully we can award that project on Monday and keep that rolling. We only received 2 bids. And let's see if I can. One was Mid-Atlantic Utilities, and the other I can have for you in just a second here.
Are these the same people that know, the water was, did these people bid on earlier projects or?
We have worked with Mid-Atlantic for, I believe, televising and cleaning prior to the engineering efforts. I don't know if we have awarded a construction contract to them before or not, but they are a familiar entity for working in the city.
Well, we're kind of under the
Okay,
gun to get this out though, right? So
Yeah, so we want to,
at least we have 2 bids.
I don't think my Outlook is updated right now, so. So at any rate, we will have a recommendation memo before Monday night out to you guys. So there was a difference of about $255,000 between the 2 bids. One came in at 1.2, one was like 950, 970, something like that. So that's being reviewed right now. I was really expecting we might get some more bids because the pre-bid conference was rather well attended, but we did get a couple requests to extend the bid period, but we really didn't want to do that. We really wanted to award now so that we could get things rolling and be under contract before our bid deadlines. So we'll have more on that Monday. And that's really about it for me. I have one more item, but we'll talk about that under new business. So unless there are questions, we can move on.
Questions, comments, concerns by council, city manager report?
The lead service line inventory, do you know where we are in a percentage of response on that?
I can have that for you Monday. I know we've gotten stacks of hard copy.
Photographs and stuff?
Uh, I don't know how many have used the QR code and responded online. I was surprised to see some of the stacks of hard copy that came in. I thought most folks would just use their phone and take the picture and do it that way. But I can get numbers on that for you for Monday.
Just wanted to be interested.
I don't recall if that's in the DPW report this month or not.
I don't.
Let me see.
I was just interested to see at the level of participation in it.
It doesn't, there's no specifics in there.
Yeah, there's nothing specific in the
no
DPW
numbers.
report. That's why I was asking.
I'll get some detail for Monday.
If you would, just as a point of interest,
Mhm.
especially as we talk about putting surveys out for the comprehensive plan revision, kind of get a feel for what kind of response we think we can get. And then on the DPW report, the phosphorus loading, looks like it took a bit of a spike in the past month. Is that weather related? Because it was dry and hot and
yes.
dry in July, and that causes
Yes.
an increase in
So
phosphorus?
we had a spike with a more concentrated flow, and they did get that under control.
Yeah, I mean,
but
we're still way
time
under the
to
line,
address-
which is great, but.
Right. They've been trying to be a little bit gradually changing the dosage rather than doing it all at once,
wanted to
just
make
to
sure
try
there
to
wasn't
see what number, it would take to balance things out.
I was just asking.
So, yep, we are still, well on track for compliance though, so.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's fabulous. They're doing a great job. The last thing is in the economic development report. There seems to be a lot of activity under Main Street, Taneytown, which is surprising to me because there is no Main Street, Taneytown right now. So why under?
There's no committee, but there is still a Main
There's
Street.
still work that has to be done.
Well, if there's no board, then there is no entity.
But it doesn't stop Main Street.
That doesn't stop him from working on Main Street related.
I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't be working on some of those activities, but the appearance is that you use the process to get rid of the troublemakers, and you're just moving on ahead with the people you like to work with.
He's working on stuff like free holiday parking signs, framework for a study from mayor and council regarding Main Street, small business Saturday promotion, replacing tarnished aren't, like, these are stuff that are just being worked on in the Main Street area.
find it frustrating that
Continuation of working on, I don't even know where to begin on that. Work still has to continue with or without a committee. I mean, I don't even think this was stuff the committee was working on. Any of the committees, any of their subcommittees. I don't know why it's an issue to you.
you don't know why it's an issue to me. You weren't paying any attention last week or last month.
No, I was there last month. I just don't know why you are so heavily pushing this, even though this is just basic work being done. I don't know why you're trying to create a conflict that isn't there. You're not even economic development liaison.
No,
But you've been heavily-
I am a resident and business owner in downtown. And, you know, this matters to me. And. you know,
But this is you just trying to hold up stuff to hold up stuff.
I'm just pissing in the wind here. Never mind. This is insanity. You know, you see other towns move forward with things and in a cooperative fashion. And here, we just try to pigeonhole people off to the side and go do what we want to over here. You know, this is just, I've been in town now approaching 8 years. And nothing has changed. Nothing. There's been some musical chairs in some of the storefronts, but nothing's improved, nothing's changed. You know, we went through a year of angst and aggravation where people who have years of experience on nonprofit boards and decades of experience in the things that they do are just roundly ignored in favor of, you know, because they ask the hard questions and they want to try this board, have a board that operates like a normal nonprofit board should. But we can't seem to come to that. You know, we still can't seem to keep viable financial records. We can't, and if we're keeping them, we certainly aren't producing them to where they can be seen by
I'm
people
confused.
who've
What does this
asked the
have to
question.
do with the Economic Development Department report?
Because
It has
the
nothing,
Economic Development Department
it has
report
nothing to do
includes
with
all
what's
this
in there.
Main
It has
Street
nothing to do with what you even brought up.
stuff.
Now you're just venting over that you don't like that the Main Street didn't go the way that you wanted it to go. I get it. You wanted to see it go a certain direction. It didn't.
No, I wanted to see it brought to a halt and started again.
And they're
in a
working on it. It even says part of what he's working on there is the survey for the mayor and city council that we requested. You're just trying to pick fights for no reason.
I'm done. I'm out.
Later. Be a grown man.
No. Be real.
This is real. I'm sorry it didn't go the direction you wanted to, but if you're going to leave a meeting over that, then bye.
I'm not being heard anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Say something that makes sense. Please show Councilmember Tillman has left the meeting. Any further comments, questions, concerns by council regarding department reports? Legal report, Jay?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We've had a lot of paperwork this month dealing with, as City Manager told you, changing some easements, dealing with easements for the sewer. And the best news yet is that we had the survey come back in from CLSI dealing with the potential easement through FlowServe for the bypass. That still has to be vetted through FlowServe before we actually draw an easement document up, but that's all it's going to take to make things happen to get FlowServe signed, at least on our end. So that's a positive development. On the other side of the situation, the city manager talked about the DeLauder claim. And as we told you before, there's two avenues of approach for this. The first avenue is going to probably be the most successful. It is the claim against the bond that they had to post when they did the job. And we talk about Roberts Mill, but there's really two separate projects that were bid separately. They're both by DeLauder. They're both defaulted on. So when I say Roberts Mill, I mean all of that. But in any event, we had a team meeting where we now have a bid to see what it's going to cost to actually make the repairs that are necessary. That far exceeds the money we're holding, so that's not even an option. The town engineer has been brought in now to start coordinating an effort to put this into a proper format to make the bond claim, and we'll be making the bond claim. It's not like just going to the bank and asking for a check, okay? It's the bond company. Imagine it's an insurance claim. They're going to come to us. They're going to assign, they don't call it an adjuster, but compare it to that. An adjuster, they're going to look at the claim, and what do insurance companies do? They don't just show up with a checkbook, right? They try to make sure that they can pay out the least amount possible. So we still have a little bit of a tough road to hoe there. The second avenue of approach for this is through the bankruptcy court. We know that DeLauder has claimed bankruptcy. They have 4 pages, small font, 3 columns of creditors. Okay, so if you can imagine what that is, of people who want assets from them. They have assets, but certainly, since they're in bankruptcy, not enough assets to pay all their bills. And while we're listed as a creditor, we are certainly not in the top area of receiving it. In bankruptcy, there's a priority. The priority goes in different levels, but for our purposes, the first priority is to pay their employees and pay their workers. And the reason I bring that up, it's not relevant to us, but a lot of the motions and hearings and fight that's happening in front of the bankruptcy court is about using their assets to pay their workers. So read that as handwriting on the wall. If they're fighting over just paying their workers, where do you think we'll fall in the line here of getting paid? So what we need to decide, and it's not a tonight decision, it's probably in the next month or so decision, we need to decide, do we want to participate more in the bankruptcy case? When I say participate more, that would mean we would get a bankruptcy expert to review the matter and decide whether any claims can be filed that would give us more of a priority than we would be. That might be something you want to do, but if you're familiar with any types of bankruptcy matters, you never get what you're supposed to get in the end, right? That's why they claim bankruptcy. We're not going to be able to collect twice, obviously. So if we collect something from the bonding company, we can't collect it through the bankruptcy company. I would imagine that you're talking about an investment up front with a bankruptcy expert between $5,000 and $10,000 to review the matter and then go from there. So the old adage of good money after bad at least has to cross your mind. So that's where we are on that. Again, no decisions tonight, but we are getting to the point where we feel like we have enough information to actually make the claims. So that's that subject. The last subject I have is the subject of a memo that I sent to you last week regarding a follow-up on the issue for the Georges on York Public Works Agreement. As you know, that issue was brought to you via the Planning Commission because that project continues to be carried on the Planning Commission agenda as an open item because the public work agreement conditions have not been met. So I provided you with the relevant information about that, and it all stems around the water allocation, and that is the issue. If you decide you don't want to do anything, you don't need to do anything, and an additional water allocation would be owed. If you decide that you want to do something, you can then change the public works agreement in some fashion and and I assume that would follow that the water allocation would not be owed. We don't do percentages, right? We don't do half a water allocation. It's like a pie. You buy the whole pie. We don't sell it by the piece. So that's the issue that you have to decide, and you don't have to do it tonight. But unless you do something, the Public Works Agreement is pretty clear that another EDU is owed. That's all I have.
Is it feasible to wait to see what the bonding company will do or what their intentions are before we hire a bankruptcy expert, or is that something that has to be done simultaneously?
I would imagine that we have about a month of play, that November is going to be a major hearing in the bankruptcy case for creditors that are creditors like us. I'll call them government type creditors. The hearing is November for that. So we would have to decide, what are we going to do before November? So I would think that if we make our filing in this month for September with the bonding company, I come back to you in October and say, this is the result. You could say, get a bankruptcy person. There are a lot of them out there. We'll probably use just the same firm we'd use for backup litigation, and we'll use one of their bankruptcy experts to give us an opinion. And I think that's, there are basically our bond counsel people, the same ones.
Is there advantages of getting in line first? I mean, is that something that's important if we file a claim with a bankruptcy court? Somebody else does, does that affect the setting?
No, consider it like a pot or a box. Our claims go in the pot or the box. Doesn't matter what order that they're in there at. We're in there. They listed us as a creditor. That's why we know about all of this anyway. So my thought is a wait and see until October, and in October make the decision. And I will try to get like an estimate of what do you think it might cost to get the opinion from a bankruptcy attorney. I am not and I certainly don't want to sway you one way or the other, because maybe you want to do all the due diligence you can, but I have never had much luck, whether it's a creditor or a debtor, trying to get something out of bankruptcy unless it's a secured loan. And this is not secured. So,
Well, that's kind of my point. I think we would be better off taking our chances with the bonding company than we would spending a lot of money running down a rabbit hole that may not have anything at the bottom.
well, that's if you do the numbers, and these numbers are made up, so they're just for an example. If it's cost $100,000 to finish the project the right way, and we're holding 20,000 of theirs already, would the 20,000 that you spend on a bankruptcy attorney be better spent towards the $20,000 and fixing the road? Because that's a guarantee, versus fixing the road and paying 20,000. So I just like to have these things in your mind so that you're not surprised when I ask you to make a decision. But I'm not really recommending that we do that at this point, but I didn't want to rule that as an option. That's all I have, unless you have any other questions. Thanks.
Proceeding to new business, monthly financial report. Questions, comments, concerns by council? Hearing none, proceeding forward, accounts payables. Questions, comments, concerns by council? Hearing none, proceeding forward, Mountain Brook Traffic Impact Study Proposal. Questions, comments, concerns by council?
This proposal would be paid for by the developer?
That's correct. So code requires that we contract with the consultant, with the traffic consultant, at the expense of the developer.
Started to read that last night and fell asleep, so I didn't quite get the gist of it. I just wanted to make sure I got it right.
Additional comments, questions, concerns by council? Hearing none, proceeding forward to cooperative procurement participation with the Maryland Department of General Services. Questions, comments, concerns by council? Hearing none, proceeding forward to public comment to